Thank you for tuning in to the BizNation podcast. My name is Kerry Zarb, and I've been helping business owners just like you go from headache to heaven in a heartbeat for over 20 years. I'll be giving you all the top advice for getting started in your business, but I'll also be speaking with some of the best business minds to inspire you with valuable insights to help you get ahead in your business. If you've ever hit a roadblock or lost your passion, then this is the podcast for you. Welcome to another episode of the BizNation podcast. I'm your host, Kerry Zarb, and today we're chatting with Kerry Ridley from My Little Bookshop. Kerry operates a travelling bookshop across Western Australia. My Little Bookshop has been operating for around 2 years, and I've brought Kerry onto the show because, well, let's face it, amazing things happen in business, and I wanted Kerry to share her story, and pretty much from there, let's dive straight in. Welcome to the show, Kerry.
Welcome, Kerry, and thanks for having me.
And I've got to say, Kerry, I really feel like I'm talking to myself, which is not uncommon, I have to say. But Kerry to the power of two, it's always got to be a good show when there's two Kerrys involved.
Absolutely, I agree. Kindred spirits.
Exactly. So, Kerry, let's dive into, I want to chat about where you are now, what you're doing, and what happens in your world. Can you share that with us?
Sure. Officially, the business started on the 18th of May 2 years ago. So I'm just shy of the 2 years. And I have 3 vans that travel around Western Australia. We cover a lot of the Perth metropolitan area, and then we specifically organise country road trips. And we have a big focus on WA authors as well.
Awesome. So did you start with one van and then it expanded in those couple of years?
Yes, I started with a big caravan, actually, because my notion initially was to, have accommodation when I'm travelling around WA. So it was the one van. Initially, I thought too that it was more going to be a lifestyle job. But yeah, it's turned into a full-time small business for sure.
That's interesting. So work-life balance, how's that kind of going for you in the business?
Oh, it isn't. The work has consumed my world. But I must say that because I've found my niche and I've finally found something that I love, I'm not too fussed that it can be 14-hour days. So.
14-hour days. Oh my goodness. And from what I understand from our discussion before the show, you start early. Is that correct?
Yeah, I start very early only because I need that hour or so at my age now to wake up properly. And I am a morning person.
Oh,
I'm much more productive. By the 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when the brain starts to waver.
Yep.
So, very productive in the morning.
That's good. So, Kerry, can you just give us a little bit more insight? Like you mentioned that you travel around Perth area. So what does a standard day look like for you? What's involved and give us a bit of an insight into an average day for you.
The Monday to Thursday is very much behind the scenes, like doing all the admin of a small business. And then like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when it's literally out and about at all the events and the markets in the Perth scene.
Wow.
So, the Monday to Thursday, because with publishers and distributors and you get catalogues, it's books. So there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds to go through. So you're looking at upcoming books that the publishers will send you. I get a lot of inquiries from local authors because they now know that, there's somewhere that they can get their books on the shelf. So I deal with that a lot. Obviously, I outsource the bookkeeper. Numbers has never been my thing. And with the online deliveries, I do that during the week as well, around Perth. Yeah.
Online. Now, that's an interesting topic right there. Did you start the business online or was that something that came in later on?
No, the online shop came in later on. That wasn't even on my radar, to be honest. And it was probably a year in, literally about 3 days before the national COVID lockdown.
Oh,
Is
wow.
when my online shop went live. So I thought it would be more of a quieter lead-in that I could do, but that turned out to be, as the trendy term is to pivot. So that was a massive pivot to, expose, promote the online shop as much as I could.
And were you planning this before COVID? Like, was this part of the business plan before COVID actually hit, or was it literally panic stations when COVID hit that you had to bring this space up so quickly?
No, it was part of the plan. So the online shop was pretty much good to go. But, with everything else that goes on in a small business and so many hats to wear, I thought, okay, I'll just let this one slide on in, and then I can slowly say, hey, everybody, I've got an online shop, and the 3 days before the lockdown, so that just blew that notion apart. It really became the main focus of the business at that point, having the online shop.
Yeah, definitely. I can certainly see that would have come about quite quickly, and probably a little bit quicker than you had anticipated. Like you said, you want to probably slowly, move into those new spaces. But I think a lot of business owners were kind of, we're all put on the edge of the cliff, and we had to either jump or stand back and wait and kind of assess the landscape. So interesting place to be in, definitely in your industry. Now, I've got an interesting question for you. So it's all about books, and you must get so engulfed with information about books, and you mentioned about, new books coming out. How much do you read?
Actually, probably like everybody else, I have my moments where, I can binge with reading a book. But then, I'll have times where it's like, you know what? I just want to sit back, have a wine. What is it? Netflix and chill? Is that
Yeah, definitely, yes.
So, but same again, because I'm that morning person, I read in the morning. So normally between 7 and 8, when the brain's fully functional, that's when I read, because it'll all absorb. If I read of a night time in bed, I wouldn't even get one chapter and I'd fall asleep.
Yeah, I confess I'm the same. I wasn't a huge reader, but I'd always have something, bedside, and literally 2 pages in. But my problem was that would make me go to sleep. Maybe I should go back to it. But then I'd forget what I actually read. So I'd have to go back and start again. So it just wasn't working for me, I confess. So I'll have to introduce a new routine in the reading space at some stage for sure.
Yes, well, some people exercise at that hour of the day. I read.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. I could put a book on the treadmill. There you go.
I do.
Yeah. There's a new concept. So, Kerry, tell me, 2 years in, what's evolved? What's changed? What have you learnt? What can you share with the listener has been some really key aspects of the business journey and what you've gone through?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is to just ask questions when you don't know, because this whole journey so far has been supported by so many people. I'm not sure how Victoria works, but over here in the West, we have what's called the Business Advisory Service, and that's all run through Small Development Business Commission. Anyway, they offer a free 12-month mentor, I guess. So because I had no background in retail or sales, no background in small business, they were instrumental in getting me to where I am now, because I didn't even know all these different things about, tax and GST, do we register or not? So I just think, try and source as much as you can, because there is a lot of free resources out there for small business. And then, but 2 years in, I would never have thought in the beginning that I would be where I'm at now.
In a good
And they've
way?
survived COVID, so that's a big win.
That's definitely a bonus. Yeah, for sure. So, what are some of the key points other than, maybe the finance side of things? What else have you learnt on the journey?
I think with the customer service role, people still want that human connection.
Yeah.
So to me, customer service is, and I think that's just me personally, it's always been a key thing for me. I'm the kind of person who would rather pay that little bit more and have excellent customer service. So that's key for me, and especially relationships with like suppliers, publishers, authors, because you never know what's going to crop up from just speaking to people.
Mm, yeah. I think there's a lot of power in that. Definitely what you said before about asking questions if you don't know, asking the right spaces, definitely tapping into the free resources that are available to business owners. I think so many out there don't know that there's so much available. I love that you've had that mentor kind of space in WA and been able to tap into some awesome resources in that capacity. But I think you're right. It's building relationships. It's finding other people and asking questions. If you don't know, someone else might know. That's
Absolutely, yeah. And you find out pretty quickly, I think, because small business, there's so many hats every single day that I've got to a point now where I won't, if it's not my talent and not my focus, then I will outsource. Like I said, like I've got the bookkeeper slash accountant. I outsource that because initially when I started to look at all these accounting programs, that just, it just blew my mind. And I thought I'm wasting a lot of man slash women hours trying to get this right. And I'm wasting time on things I'm good at. So I've learnt to, if something is going to take up way too much of my time, it's not a natural talent for me, then I will, outsource or look elsewhere or call a friend.
Yeah, phone a friend, always phone a friend for sure. Yeah, love that. So tell me, let's go back to COVID for a moment. Did you do anything other than the online store, which had to happen and kind of got escalated on the timeline? What else did you go through to, support customers and that type of thing through the pandemic?
Well, with the online shop, Western Australia had like the intrastate borders from the country to the metro. So with the online orders that I was getting, there was a lot of, people on one side or the other saying, look, I need this order to go here and there. Can you check on my parents or something? So I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Like, when I get there, I'll take the social distance photo and send to you. But I also asked them, do they need any essentials? So I would stop at, a supermarket and sort of like get some bread and milk, that kind of thing, because I thought it's just the right thing to do. Like these people, they can't get out and you've got a concerned relative. So it just seemed automatic to say, do they want any essentials? I'll grab it at the supermarket and then, drop that off along with their books. So,
oh, wow. So you were doing like delivery of little care packages along with the book orders?
Yes, but it seemed quite natural to do.
Oh,
Really. It didn't seem like anything that was above and beyond. It just seemed like a natural thing because we were all scrambling at that time. And I think we were more concerned of the health side of things then, whereas now we're more sort of concerned about the economy side.
yeah, that's true. And I agree with you there. There was a definite shift in the human race when COVID first started. And I think people's, empathy and compassion certainly came out. But I've not heard of another business owner that's on the road that's delivering care packages along with the product. So that's, I think, credit to you on that one. That's really sweet, really nice, and so lovely to hear about as well.
But it's a very eerie feeling being on a freeway and there's no traffic at all. I might have seen one or two trucks. That was quite a surreal thing to do.
Yeah, and isn't it amazing? Like one of the things that I did in those early stages, I was looking on, I think it was YouTube or even just the odd Google or something, because you see the news and the news was all, quite doom and gloom and that type of thing. But I looked at how quiet everything was because
Yeah.
like what you just said, Kerry, like I'd step outside and it was like waiting for the zombies or something.
Yeah.
It was really, really weird at that time. So, no, I just want to thank you for doing that. I think that that's incredible and such a lovely thing to do. And it is above and beyond, just so you know. I think, you're downplaying it, but there's nothing to downplay here. I think that that's super, super nice and really thoughtful and taking that extra step. And you know what? Like sometimes those little things of customer service, like you're going to be remembered for that, So I think,
Yes.
yeah, that's
And I still
nice.
have them customers now, which is great.
Yeah.
So, but also I think on the business side of things during that crazy period, I contacted everybody that I knew, from event organisers to authors to family friends, to say, hey, look, my online shop has literally just started. Would you kindly promote it to let people know that I can, I can still deliver books if they ordered? And everybody did. So I just got to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think the word of mouth is not dead. Like I think it's
No.
definitely one of our most powerful tools in business is word of mouth and, collaborations, forming those relationships, having conversations, and it goes both ways, the old barter system of you help someone and it comes back and vice versa and, getting together and helping each other out is exactly what you've done and I think is definitely really worked in that space as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. You never know who you're going to bump into and who you're talking to.
Mm.
So, and I think with that, as much as we were isolated, there was still that connection. And then you have a better connection, I wouldn't say after COVID because we're still going sort of through it, but afterwards when we all sort of came out and went back to work pretty much, you have a better connection with them people.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. You're listening to the BizNation podcast. I would love to connect with you outside of the podcast, and you can find me on Clubhouse, Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn by searching my name, Kerry Zarb, or directly on my website at kerryzarb.club. And don't forget, if you need more support in your business, you can find the community on Facebook at BizNation Support Group. So I want to talk to you about some numbers because something that I've realised probably, and I've known for some time, but it's an interesting time for business owners because we're looking at our figures, we're looking at our financials, and in most cases, a lot of us are projecting and forecasting what's going to happen. What does the next 12 months look like? What's your take on the financial space in the business, having gone through COVID, excuse me, and survived it? What does it look like? What do you kind of think in that area? And not being, obviously you outsource the bookkeeping, so I want to put that out there. But what do you see?
I don't know whether we're just like this odd little book industry that's in its own world. In a way, COVID helped, COVID helped the book industry because people had then a completely different perspective after that. So when we got back to work in the July through to December, literally the sales tripled, quadrupled.
Wow.
So far this year, it's sort of slid a little bit. And then we had a snap lockdown in February and we've just had a recent lockdown again a couple of weeks ago. That took a huge dent for the income.
Mm.
And it seems to be that the hospitality and events industry, here in the West anyway, as in they seem to be copping it all the time and losing. economically. So for 2 years, the business is in a good position, and forecasting into next year, because we have the extra van now, we've pretty much sort of doubled and then some the projection for next year or next financial year. And that's also due to, being out there to get into schools and libraries and childcare centres, so moving into other areas other than just the travelling van around Perth and country trips. So I think for 2 years, personally, I think the business financially is in a good spot. I tend to think that I've been trading for 18 months rather than 2 years. I'm very much aware of most businesses don't last for 3 years.
Yep.
But I'm determined to get through all of that. So at this point in time, it's literally gone back to paying itself, but not paying me a big income anyway.
Yeah.
So, and them two snap lockdowns, and I'm really hoping there's no more. It takes a big chunk out of your income.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, there's 2 points I want to make to that to the forecasting side of business right now, no one's got the crystal ball. No one can really predict exactly what's going to happen. We can guesstimate what we, can foresee and what's potentially coming down the line. But it sounds to me, Kerry, that you've probably reinvested in the business to have that future growth. You may not be paying yourself and paying yourself as you deserve just yet, but by channeling funds back into the business to, create a better forecast, it sounds like you're on that path. Would that be correct?
Yes, yeah. It's more of a growth path that we're on, because we got the third van beginning of this year. We decided last week before, after that second lockdown, to literally take 20% of the income as an emergency fund.
Ooh, that's clever.
Because that last lockdown and the income that we lost was big. So I thought, I don't want to be in this spot again. There's no guarantees that we're not going to be in lockdown. I mean, all the state premiers are saying we're still in a pandemic. So, that's the plan of attack going forward, is to take 20% of the income and just make an emergency fund, because I'm sure there'll be another lockdown somewhere along the line, and I want and need to be prepared for that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good piece of advice, especially for younger businesses to, certainly put funds away. That emergency stash is something that probably doesn't happen quite a lot, and particularly in the current environment. And this could go on, still for another 12 months or 2 years. No one knows. There's no prediction. So great advice, Kerry. That's fantastic advice for someone else to, really start thinking about having a little reserve, a little, safety net behind them. Not only have you invested in the business, but moving forward, to have that safety net is definitely awesome. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really good.
Oh, no worries.
So I want to go back. I know this is a little bit probably feels weird, but I want to go back to your story. What brought you to this business? Where did this all begin?
The growing statistic of 50 plus and being made redundant.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had basically an administration background. So I had, and I was just sort of completely blindsided by it. I just didn't see it coming. So I had a month's pity party, I guess you'd call it.
Yep.
And then thought to myself, well, I am at an age now to, it's about me. And I thought, whatever I'm going to do, it has to be what I love doing.
Yep.
And when I sort of brought it down to the basics, I thought, I've always loved travelling. I've always loved reading. I put the two together.
Yeah.
And, it was that sort of, how hard can it be to get a caravan and travel around and sell some books,
Easy
But,
peasy.
But when we were kids, my parents, when I was 12, they quit their jobs and literally packed us all up as a family. And this was 80, 81.
Mm-hmm.
And we literally as a family drove around Australia in a caravan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Mum had set up with the education department because it was, mail correspondence schooling.
Oh, yep.
So we called into the education department before we left and, they gave us like 6 months worth of books and reading.
Mm-hmm.
So, big on the road a lot. And it's always just been one of the, the best memories, I guess, from childhood. And that really resonated with me when I thought, what am I going to do with, the rest of my life, I guess.
Yeah.
And I just thought, that's it. That's what I want to do. So.
Oh, I love that story. And key question here is, though, like that redundancy, that pain period that you went through, do you regret that? Do you want to go back?
Not at all. And it was sort of more corporate in the CBD. So if I'm really, really honest, I am not missing heels and makeup and rush. And, I can go out to my events and, I'm generally sort of known to my friends as the Caftan Queen. There's no uniform, there's no anything. And, I've just worn flat shoes for the last couple of years and it's been fantastic. I do not regret it one bit.
Oh, that's great. And I love that you get to be you, and
Yes.
you can make the decisions. You can, based on the weather or how you feel or what's going on. That's amazing. I think that's part of the reason a lot of us go into business is for that freedom feeling, if nothing else, I think, I love that story.
And I've got 3 grown-up daughters and I just still wanted, I don't know, maybe it's that old feminist in me or something, but I really wanted to sort of show them that, okay, to them it's old, but, that women still can achieve great things after a certain age.
Yeah.
That is normally ignored.
Yeah, so true.
So
true. I love that. All right, we're going to dive into the next part of the show, which is 5 fun facts about Kerry. Oh, my God. Yeah. No, it's okay. Don't fear. I have random questions in this cute little tin that probably needs redecorating at some stage.
I thought I was going to get a virtual chocolate out of that tin.
Oh, that's a good idea. Thank you. All right. I know what to bring in next. Okay. I'm just going to grab 5 of these random questions and hopefully I don't keep picking the same ones. There's a chance. All right. I've got 5. Are you ready?
Bring it on.
Okay. All right. Question number 1. Walk in the park or walk on the beach? Which one would you prefer?
The beach, because it is literally 3 minutes away.
Oh, perfect. There you go. Just down the road. Yep.
Absolutely, yeah.
And when was the last time you did this?
Yesterday afternoon.
There you go.
Yeah.
Too easy.
Yeah. Took the dog and away we went.
Fantastic. Okay, next question. Oh, well, this one's kind of, this is interesting. Are you the driver or do you like to be driven? Very appropriate. Very appropriate.
Obviously in the business, I'm the driver, but then on the weekends, well, no, I won't say weekends because weekends is probably that odd option during the week. Yeah, I guess it's just one of them things that's automatic. I get driven around by the partner. So.
Yep. And are you a good passenger or are you a little bit of a backseat driver?
I can be a backseat driver, a little bit. And if I know that if I get to that point, I will just look out the window because then it's like, don't say anything.
You know not to push too far. That's good. That's good. Next question. What is your all-time favourite movie? Now, this is a good question because you're in the book space, but you did mention Netflix. So, favourite movie?
Yeah, I am a big movie buff. I would have to say, literally off the top of my head, it is Breakfast at Tiffany's and Jaws.
And interesting combination. Breakfast.
Well, that's sort of how the business began as well, because the big caravan is called Audrey, after Audrey Hepburn, and, you know, the 50s colours of the branding. And I just, Breakfast at Tiffany, I think when I saw it as a kid was just sort of, wow, she seems so glamorous. And, you know, it took a long time, obviously, to realise what the movie and the book was actually about. and Jaws, when we were kids, my parents took us down south, sort of Bustleton, for the annual beach holiday over the Christmas break. And Jaws was the new blockbuster at the drive-in. So as we're at the beach caravan park, they take us to see Jaws, and it's just ingrained in my psyche. And I thought later on, I was like, Mum, Dad, why would you take us kids at a beach holiday to go and see Jaws? And we watch it every year without fail in October, in sort of the lead up to summer. It's a family thing now.
So you watch a movie about sharks as we're about to go into water weather.
Yes.
I love it. It's kind of like watching what's that movie where the plane crashes into the Hudson River? It's like watching that before boarding a flight.
Wasn't it Sully?
Yeah.
Tom Hanks. Yeah.
Yeah, love that movie. Yeah. All right, next question. Oh, do you believe in extraterrestrials? Did I even say that right? Aliens.
So. Yeah. I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that there is something other than us out there. But honestly, when you said extraterrestrial, my brain just went to E.T.
Yeah. Another good movie. Good movie.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Last question, and then you're off the hook.
Cool.
All right. Oh, well, we already know the answer to this. I'm going to do something unusual. I don't want to ask that one. I'm going to find another one.
Oh, okay. It was too obvious.
It was. You've already answered it. It was, are you a morning marvel or a night owl? Which we already know. Okay. You're the morning marvel, so we'll skip that.
I like that tag, morning marvel.
Yeah. Morning marvel. You are a morning marvel. All right. If you had a time machine, would you go into the future or back to the past?
Back to the past. I love my history. Love it. Yeah.
So you'd go back in time to your own past, or would you go even further into another era?
I would go into another era.
Mm-hmm.
Very like the Jane Austen era. I'd like to go back to, say, the 60s with, you know, the women's liberation side of things. I'd like to go back to that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just think, you know, on a shallow level, I'd like to go back to the 50s where, you know, it's all very false, but where you could just sort of, you know, stay at home and do some housework and, you know, the kids would come home from school and look pretty for the husband, you know, on that shallow level every now and then. It'd be like, wouldn't that be nice?
I think it would be for a couple of days. I think we'd get bored. As business owners, I think we'd get bored pretty quickly.
Yeah, a week max. Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome. Okay, that's our 5 fun facts about Kerry. Thank you so much for participating. That is my favourite part of the podcast.
My pleasure.
So, Kerry, before we wrap up the show, where can we find you? A website, social handles? What can we put in here?
Yeah, the website is mylittleBookshop.com.au, and that has a calendar of events so you can find out where we are all the time. I do have Instagram and Facebook. So Instagram is mylittleBookshop_, and Facebook is mylittleBookshop19. I didn't realise how many handles there was for Facebook. So
yeah.
Otherwise, look for the little blue logo, the little caravan logo.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So just that website again, mylittlebookshop.com.au.
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. And you're on Instagram and Facebook. I'll pop all of
Yeah.
those links into the show notes so that the listeners can find you. I think this is definitely a space to tap into. And I love books. I don't probably spend enough time with books, I confess, but I do love them. I like to see, feel and touch. You know, I've tried Audible. It's just not quite the same type of thing. And I'm sure many are in that, you know, audio experience these days, and especially those listening to this podcast, obviously.
Well, yes, I have regular customers and they use all three platforms, but they all come back to the relax, calming, taking time out is all about the hard copy book.
Absolutely. Nothing beats, oh my God, rainy day, comfy chair, amazing book. Oh, that's incredible. I think that all
And
just
with the
works.
Jimmy Jammies.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what I bought? Just quickly, have you heard of an Oodie?
Oh, you brought one of them?
I did. It is sensational. There was a day not so long ago, it was pouring rain, it was freezing cold. There was me in my hoodie, all rugged up. It was just incredible. So I'm kind of picturing, I've got one of those circle chairs that spins or rotates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so next time it rains and there's just like no clients on the books, it'll be me and a book in the hoodie on the circle chair. It's going to be amazing.
Perfect. I think that lead up word into winter is snug.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Kerry, thank you so much for coming onto the show. It's been an amazing discussion. I've loved hearing your story, your journey, all those great little things that you've learned along the way. Like I said before, I'm going to pop all those links into the show notes and keep spreading the word about My Little Bookshop. I think that's incredible. I love what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. It's been great fun.
Awesome. Thank you. We will chat really soon.
Okay, bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the BizNation podcast. It was lovely to share this episode with you. Remember to subscribe to catch all future episodes, and I would also very much love it if you'd leave me a rating or a review. Until next time, remember that you can also go from headache to heaven in a heartbeat.